The coronavirus, which has affected the whole world, undoubtedly led us to the obligation to rearrange our lives and habits. Throughout this process, Turkey was a model country, leading the way in providing assistance and support to its citizens as well as international aid. While providing logistical support to many countries, all kinds of assistance opportunities have been provided to Turkish citizens living abroad. Under the Presidency of Republic of Turkey, the Directorate of Communications, as part of our project explaining the model of Turkey in the fight against COVID-19, we will get ambassadors' evaluations related to activities in the process of pandemic in Turkey. Mr. Ambassador, thanks for being with us. You were in Turkey during the pandemic that has swept the world. What do you think were the positive aspects and advantages Turkey has had in its response during this period?
Well, thank you very much for coming to the embassy and giving me an opportunity to speak to you. This is a very important subject, and thank you very much for allowing me to share my thoughts on it. Well, we were fortunate that there are diplomats posted all over the world, and depending on how they see and how it went, each will have a different story to tell. I have a very positive story to tell, very frankly. The mere word, the word itself, pandemic, connotes that it affects everybody, pan as the prefix of the word. But that does not only mean that it affects everybody, developed and developed alike, north and south alike, east and west alike. It also requires a deeper understanding of the issue that pan also means that if you have to deal with the pandemic, your response also has to be pan in the sense of pan government, pan national, pan societal. So it is a threat to everybody. And if you are to challenge this and to meet this challenge and address this challenge, you also have to have a response that is also as all-encompassing. It seems that under the leadership of Turkey and the various Turkish institutions, the Turkish system understood that to control, first to fight and then to control this very serious threat, which my Prime Minister, by the way, has called as the most dangerous and serious threat that the international system has faced since the Second World War, the Turkish system realized that a full whole of government and whole of nation and whole of society response was required. It was a new thing. Every government was confronted with the situation because this is something that has not happened for the last 100 years after the Spanish flu pandemic of 100 years ago or so. So on the Turkish side, what we saw, and I was an interested observer, is that there was a very well thought out, holistic response to this challenge. The first wave was addressed quite efficiently through a mix of restrictions that were required, masks, closings, curfews. Then also at the same time, every government, mine also in Pakistan as well, confronted this very delicate balance of protecting lives, but at the same time also protecting the economy. It did not make any sense that you save a person today from the pandemic, but because the economy is in such a bad shape that a couple of months down the road, he is facing a shortage of food or shortage of medicine and possibly even starvation. So it was a very delicate balance, and every government had to do it according to its own situations. Turkey seems to have done well on that count. The economic support shield program that Turkey instituted, which eventually I realize crossed almost $70 billion of assistance, direct or indirect, was very interesting. We did something like that on our side. We'll speak about it later. So on the whole, what we saw was that when the challenge came, the Turkish government, but in fact the Turkish nation met it in a very mature, well-considered manner, employing all the strengths that it had, at the same time also trying its best to protect the most vulnerable. This deferment of monthly rents, this deferment of interest, the payments that needed to be made that people owed, this was all help to the ordinary Turkish citizen. And yes, it is a challenge, and nobody will ever be happy about how well it went. But by and large, the first wave was addressed very well, and when the second wave came, which was by and large again quite serious compared to the first one. Turkey seems to have done well also. The figures speak of it. And we sitting here could also observe the system working, the government working, the people working. Semender Park is just across the road. It's a very popular, by the way, site in Ankara. People love to come here. The families are here. They come here for picnics. They have their dogs with them. We could see that as the ebb and flow of the restrictions, and the people by and large abiding by the restrictions, realizing that it was also for their own safety. For instance, I have had the occasion to see pictures of other countries. I have not had an occasion to leave Turkey in this time for the last 1 year, but we've seen on the television, at least in Turkey, there was a realization amongst the citizens, and this is the lowest level in the sense, and this translates or extrapolates into the higher governmental action also, that masks are good. Everybody wore masks. That social distancing is important. Everybody by and large observed social distancing. The rules that were announced by the government for the people for their own safety were more or less observed. And of course, this is one reason that Turkey was cited as one of the success stories in the OECD reports also. And as I say, we are an interested observer. We have Pakistanis living here. Of course, you will probably ask about this subsequently. So we had a good vantage position, a point to see how Turkey rose to the challenge, how it addressed, and how it seems to be doing very well. Of course, the big balance always was to counter mortality, restrict the spread of the disease, but at the same time protect the Turkish economy. And Turkey has registered, I am told, a growth rate of 1.8% or so, depending on who is saying which agency is citing it. It's a great achievement considering that there have been economies that have gone into recession in the last 1 year. So Turkey seems to have done something well.
Yeah, you said Turkey took holistic approach, and it's one of the success stories.
I would in fact like to add one more thing. Turkey also realized that this is a threat to everybody. And everybody, by everybody, I just don't mean all Turks, I mean the entire world. And when at a time when it's a natural human reaction that when you're confronted with a challenge or a threat, you close your doors, you withdraw. Turkey resisted this temptation, even in the midst of very serious shortages and things, the restrictions. Turkey rose to the occasion and helped out 150 countries. It sent humanitarian assistance to 150 countries, including Pakistan. And Pakistan in its own way then tried to assist Turkey. At that time, chloroquine was considered as an option, and Pakistan provided Turkey with chloroquine. So it was a very holistic and approach within Turkey, and also in terms of the global international approach of Turkey on that count.
And in a time like this, leadership is very important. And our President Recep Tayyip Erdogan ensured very quickly, very serious measures have been quickly taken to overcome this crisis with the least damage in the country. How quickly current measures have taken in your country, and have you ever had a problem with this? How is the situation right now in your country regarding the measures against COVID-19?
We were also very fortunate that we have a very dynamic leader. He is very decisive. He takes actions like this, and he was very quick. We immediately, once the seriousness of this threat became evident, we took all the measures that were within our ability, economic ability also, and it seems to have worked well. Our approach, we were not as economically strong as Turkey. We are a smaller economy, with a bigger population. But by and large, given our strengths and at the same time looking at our constraints, Pakistan's performance has been also quite good. In fact, in the first wave, during tackling the first wave, WHO cited Pakistan as a success story. We are a population of 210 million plus people, and our figures, considering everything, are quite, I wouldn't say impressive, but not as terrible. We had a total of about less than 600,000 confirmed cases, and our mortality has been about 13,000, a little over 13,000, which is not bad given the pool of population available. How did we manage to do this? Again, the government also took a very pragmatic and balanced approach in protecting the citizens and protecting the means of their livelihoods. And The balance seems to have worked. It was we immediately constituted a National Command and Control Center, NCOC. That it was an intergovernmental body in which all the important bodies of the government of Pakistan were represented, chaired by a very senior minister, that met almost on a daily basis to monitor the situation in the country with respect of close downs, curfews, lockdowns, restrictions on the movement, but at the same time the various other aspects of it, schooling, whether to open the schools, close the schools, international travel. And it seems to have worked. The Prime Minister announced a package of economic support for the least vulnerable society, parts of the society. It comes to about 3% of our GDP. The people were informed. In fact, if you give somebody a call in Pakistan on the telephone, and instead of the ring, you hear the message from the government that corona is dangerous and that you have to exercise due caution and you have to be careful, and these are the things that you need to do. These are small things, but these inform the public of the number one, seriousness of the issue, and number two, what they need to do to protect themselves and also to protect the country. Overall, Pakistan has done also quite well. The figures speak for themselves. The second wave was slightly more serious, but the figures are going down again. And overall, for instance, yesterday's figure is that we conducted about 40,000 tests, and we have confirmed cases of about 1,600, 52 deaths. Every life is precious, but given the size and the scale of the problem, and compared to other countries, this is not a very terrible figure. And the graph is on the way down, and the economy has not suffered as people expected. The indicators more or less are the same as they were before the pandemic.
Mr. Ambassador, as you know, there is no charge for treatment of COVID-19 from both Turkish citizens and also foreign citizens by health institutions in Turkey. The government offers completely free treatment. I wonder, did you have a chance to inform your citizens living in Turkey about this? And also, how is treatment process progressing in your own country? Can you explain and tell us similarities and differences between these two countries?
Well, yes, we have a sizable population of Pakistanis here. And many of them, unfortunately, got infected, and they were very kindly accommodated in the Turkish hospitals if they required treatment. Two of our own officers in the embassy got infected. They were regularly visited by the Turkish health authorities. There were telephone calls monitoring them, and they got visits from the Ministry of Health, and this was very reassuring. The crisis would have been much more our job as a mission would have been much more serious if Turkey had not been so considerate and generous in terms of providing medical treatment to those caught in this very serious problem. I give you a small example. When the full scale of this for Pakistanis, Istanbul is a very important transit hub. Our national airline has a code share agreement with Turkish Airlines. Every day there are 3 flights from Pakistan, Karachi, Islamabad, Lahore, to Istanbul and then onwards. And when these travel restrictions in March last year started suddenly cropping up everywhere because of the scale of the problem, there were a number of Pakistanis who were stranded in Istanbul airport midway. They had left their home countries and they were traveling to Pakistan, but there were restrictions on entry in Pakistan. Those were the few initial days in which the countries were still struggling to come up with proper SOPs to deal with such issues. But we, as an embassy and our consulate general in Istanbul, were confronted with this challenge of what to do with our citizens who were now caught midway. The Turkish government very kindly, number one, allowed them entry into Turkey. They did not have Turkish visa, and they were given visas at the airport. Number two, they were accommodated in quarantine centers to fulfill those 15 days of quarantine requirement at government expense, Turkish government expense. 4 of them, in fact, became positive. And they were taken to the hospital. They were accommodated in Bolu, by the way. The quarantine was at Bolu. I visited them myself, and my team used to visit them. They were very well taken care of. Subsequently also, there were numbers of citizens who required assistance, and they did not generally face any difficulties in getting that, and that made our job as embassies easier, and also at the same time showed the world that the kind of relationship Pakistan and Turkey have.
Mr. Ambassador, one of the challenges pandemic brought was restrictions. Like in Turkey, there were many restrictions, also as in the whole world. Parks, cafes, and restaurants, most of the public places sometimes, were closed from time to time. I want to ask you, what was the thing you missed the most during this process? It can be in your own country, it can be in Turkey.
Well, speaking of Pakistan, again, we are a big population. So to confine 210 million people in their homes is not practicable, socially as well as economically. What our government did was to have this policy of smart lockdowns, monitor the areas, and those areas which have a higher positivity rate of tests, then impose a lockdown on only that area, but the rest of the city or the country continues working. It worked in our case, and we are still pursuing it. Where there is a spike, we lock that area down, the basic necessities are allowed in, the patients are allowed out, but more or less that is confined. On the Turkish side also, we see there were restrictions imposed, particularly in the last 3 months that we have just come out of. Some restrictions were lifted on the 1st of March. It is an unnatural situation in any case. Man is a social animal, everybody says it, but I think this pandemic proved that he truly is a social animal. Human interaction is very necessary, essential. We were, however, fortunate that we got the embassy, we reduced the embassy working on a rotation basis, but we continued to work, met people. We've not been going out as much as we would like to. This gave us an opportunity, in fact, to probably bond again. And it was not easy, but you have to do things that you have to do to protect human life, your own included. We saw our Turkish brothers and sisters doing it, and we did the same also. Sometimes it became difficult, but sometimes, of course, we also knew that if we didn't do it, we were endangering ourselves, and we were also endangering others, and we needed to strike a balance between it. I think by and large, every person has been able to do that.
So what do you think about COVID-19 vaccines? First of all, did you get your own vaccine? And also, I wonder, what is your advice to your citizens about vaccination? And as you know, Turkey is at the forefront of most of the countries when it comes to vaccination. Right now, currently, all healthcare workers and 95% of senior age groups have been vaccinated. How is the situation in your own country regarding the vaccination process?
Well, we have also started having vaccines in. Again, we have also drawn up brackets of vulnerability of our citizens. The system is very transparent. These persons over a certain age group are asked to send a message on a designated number, SMS message, and then they are registered. And when the time comes, they get their vaccines. The elders are already getting vaccinated, and this will continue down. We have also at the same time shown a certain degree of immunity, not immunity or maybe resistance to the disease given the size of the population and the figures. But it's going in a very scaled manner, and hopefully we will be able to also vaccinate our people by and large by the end of the middle of this year. Let's see, even developed countries are now facing problems. They had a certain time schedule, and they have run into difficulties. The vaccine is in shortage. Countries are falling behind. These challenges are to be expected, and particularly if a country does not have the same economic development as the rich countries, it's a bigger challenge for countries like Pakistan. But our leadership is working very systematically, pragmatically on it to again balance the need for protecting the population, protecting the economy, and providing vaccine at a reasonable rate. So far it seems to be working. And yes, my wife and I yesterday were able to get the vaccine. People were saying that there's some side effects or there's some pain in the arm or a little bit of fever or headache. Not for us at all. We got vaccinated yesterday. And again, we thank the Turkish government for arranging this, the Turkish Foreign Office for taking care of this very important aspect of dealing with the challenge.
Mr. Ambassador, parents see the most positive aspect of the pandemic, if there is any most positive aspect of the pandemic, as having a chance to spend more time with their children, family. How about you, sir? Is your family here, and have you had the chance to spend more time with them?
I think I am an illustration of this point. Our children are now, mashallah, 25, 20, 22 and 21. And this was probably the last time in our lifetime as parents that the entire family was together, because then they will go out, start their own professions, go out, find place employment, etc. And this pandemic helped that all of us were together for the entire summer. And we really cherish this aspect of this very serious issue. And this was a very nice silver lining to an otherwise difficult situation, that the whole family, my wife and I and our 3 children, were together for a good 3-4 months. And we saw a lot of movies, we played a lot of Scrabble. The house is relatively big, so we went out in the lawn. Whenever the opportunity was, we took walks outside. So we will actually relish this last summer together. And now, in fact, none of them are home. These classes have started and they're in their own universities. And my wife and I occasionally remember that this was a great summer that we had as a family together. I'm sure some other families and will also have similar stories to tell, but yes, this was a very bright and broad silver lining to this otherwise very dark cloud.
Happy for you, sir. Here's my last question. I want you to ask about your feelings about this process in Turkey, and what do you want to share with your citizens living in Turkey about the pandemic process in Turkey, and also what do you want them to specifically pay attention to in this process?
Everybody has to follow the rules. The government, when it says that you need to do something, we need to abide by that because it is for our own good. I give you another example. We have a sizable number of Pakistani students studying in Turkey, and the dorms were closed. There was restrictions imposed on our students so that they could not leave the dorms, or at least leave the campus. If they left, they could not come back in. And young people, teenagers, away from home, slightly apprehensive, a little bit frustrated. They used to call us. They're not letting us go out. What are we supposed to do? And our consistent message to them was that this is being done for your own good. So number 1, please abide by the rules. Number 2, if heaven forbid, should you turn positive or you need requirement, the embassy and the consulates are here. You have their numbers. Our websites have all the information. We will refer you to the relevant Turkish health authorities so that you can be taken care of. And number 3, exercise maximum care so that number 1, you don't become a victim. You don't fall positive. And number 2, please also protect the others. Always keep the health of others in consideration. And when you get an opportunity, please do get vaccinated.
Mr. Ambassador, it was a pleasure. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. It was a pleasure sharing whatever little I had to tell you about this issue. Thank you.
We evaluated our country's effective fight against COVID-19 with Ambassador of Pakistan, Mr. Mohammad Cyrus Sajjad Ghazi. I would like to thank Mr. Ambassador for his sincere answers.
Under the Presidency of Republic of Turkey, the Directorate of Communications, as part of our project explaining the model of Turkey in the fight against COVID-19, Ambassador of Pakistan, Mr. Cyrus Ghazi, was our guest. Turkey has entered normalization process by following the rules of wearing masks, social distancing, and taking care of hygiene. Vaccination also continues rapidly. We will steer a case for Turkey. Stay healthy.